How's it going, everyone? Cheyenne here, and today is Sunday, 3rd of May, 2026. We've just wrapped up Incineration Festival in London, and it's been a blast. So here's a little bit of a recap for you. Okay, so of course, we are in the UK after all, and how could we not expect there to be rain? Even though it is the 2nd of May today, it would be absolutely foolish to not expect rain. So we came prepared, despite the initial illusions of sunshine. So here we are, tradition complete. So this was actually the 5th year in a row that we have attended Incineration Festival, and always amazing, always solid. Actually, the first year that I attended Incineration Festival was way back in 2015. And I think this was actually the very first city festival that I ever attended, and it was fantastic. I think that was the year that Shining played and a bunch of other great bands, and then I actually got to play it for the first time with TRIVAX in 2019, and I also used to play with another band called Master's Call previously, so I actually did double duties that year. I remember I played with Master's Call, and that was supposed to be my last show with them, and then I ended up doing another one later that year at Bloodstock. But as soon as I finished the show with Master's Call, went back on the same stage with TRIVAX. And that was also the year that Mayhem played as well, you know, and it was actually a really cool show from what I remember. Fast forward, I think every year since 2022, we have been attending Incineration, and it's always a pleasure. We got to play it last year with TRIVAX again. For those of you who attended, this was just before The Great Satan came out, and it was a fantastic time. You know, it's honestly really one of my favorite festivals. So let's bring the focus to 2026 this year. So the festival was once again situated between the Roundhouse as the main large venue, and also the Electric Ballroom, as well as the Underworld, the Black Heart, and the Dev. Most of the venues are more or less within the same vicinity for those who haven't attended the festival. However, there is a bit of a walking distance between the Roundhouse, which is the main large venue, and the 3 other venues that are all situated in Camden. So I would say the walk is approximately should be no more than 10-12 minutes. But throughout the day, there's a lot of tourists around, so that tends to take a little bit of time as you try and cut through and make your way there. So you can see for yourself how busy Camden Town truly can get. Camden is always so unbelievably busy. It's the amount of human waste everywhere. It's the biggest, I think. So let's just quickly talk about the lineup itself. So for this year, we had the Bathory tribute by Blood, Fire, Death. We had Hypocrisy, we had Bathory, we had Raid, and we had Dragged into Sunlight, and a number of other really great bands. I thought this was a pretty solid lineup this year. To me, the last few years of the festival, the lineup's been pretty consistently good, and I think that you kind of get a little bit of everything here. So within the different sub-branches of extreme metal, I think that there is something for everyone. And usually when you look at the lineup, I think that those who follow a certain specific niche, or if you have various different interests in specific other subgenres, there's a bit of everything for you to watch. And this year was no different to that. And obviously concluding the evening with the headline set of the Bathory tribute by Blood, Fire, Death. I think that was honestly spectacular. I got to see these guys perform the very first rendition of Blood, Fire, Death back in Beyond the Gates 2024 in Bergen, Norway, which was honestly a surreal, fantastic experience. And just hearing those songs live, is a treat, and I hope I'll get to see them again soon. But honestly, man, it's so special hearing Bathory songs live, and I think that given the various different live versions of Bathory songs by various different bands over the years, I feel like this is probably the most complete version of that you will see. And I know I'm not alone in sharing this opinion. And I think that the choice of musicians that they have for this band is also really fantastic, and I think that it really serves the songs well. And obviously they had a variety of different vocalists performing with them on stage for various different songs, and I think this is a great touch. I didn't expect to see that, actually. I thought that was just something that might be happening for the first show that they did, but they're still doing that even in London. I would definitely recommend checking that out if you haven't seen them yet. So let's have a look. I would also say Hypocrisy were really fantastic. I mean, I can go on to a whole segment here about bands who perform to with basically no amps, okay, and having a show that is programmed essentially. But honestly, their sound was perfect. Like, you could not have picked any faults with their sound or performance. They were absolutely tight. They were spot on. Obviously, I know they have an in-ear click system and things like that. And to me, the reason why I mentioned this is throughout the years, I've kind of been a little bit critical of that, just because I'm like, that might take away from the essence of rock and roll, and you're relying on too much. But I have spoken to a good number of friends of mine who also use a similar system. We've never tried it with TRIVAX, so maybe I'll change my mind about this at some point in the future. But basically, you've got a in-ear monitor system that's giving you a click track, and all of the songs, everything is kind of like programmed into it, which essentially you kind of need that for like various visuals and like backing tracks to kind of line up together perfectly, and in terms of control, it does give you a lot of control with the show. It just means that you don't have any room for any kind of improvisation on the spot. I kind of like that latter part to be a part of a show. With that said, honestly, this was like one of the most tightest metal shows that I think I have seen in like the last few years. I really feel like they put on a fantastic show, and it's not that it was, because of the fact that it was kind of, I can't think of a better term than pre-planned, but because even though it was pre-planned, it didn't lack any solid crowd interaction, and everything was just straight to the point. Like, everything was just so fine-tuned, and I really appreciated that aspect of it. And honestly, I will say this again, I do prefer it when bands play with amps, but honestly, their sound couldn't have been better. Like, their sound was ridiculously good. If you've seen Hypocrisy in the last couple of years, you probably already know what I'm talking about, So yeah, I mean, I don't mean for any of this to sound condescending, by the way. These are genuine compliments. I mean, these guys know what the fuck they're doing. So I just wanted to clarify that point. But yeah, I was actually very impressed with their set. I thought it was great, and they've been good every time I've seen them in the last few years. So let's see. Yeah, the overall festival, honestly, it's a great vibe. The people are very friendly there. The venues are very nice. I really like the venues. The Roundhouse especially, I really like that venue, and I think that the only sort of downsides to it would be, I would say, two things. One is just how long it takes to actually get there. Granted, I walk at a very fast pace, and I actually enjoy a little bit of power walking in between sets. The other side of it is the fact that obviously you have to be very intentional with your time. So one thing you don't really tend to get is you don't really get a lot of downtime at Incineration, because you constantly have to kind of factor in, well, when's the next band that I want to see? How many songs of a certain band I want to see? Okay, so for any first-time attenders, I would highly make a recommendation to factor in exactly which bands you want to see, and even consider how many songs you want to see. Because if you want to see full sets, then that could mean that you might miss a song or two of the next band that you want to watch. Because even if there's like 10 minutes in between, say for example, last night once we finished seeing Hypocrisy, there was still 10 minutes from when their set finished and the Bathory tribute would start. However, in that 10 minutes, you have to exit the venue, then you have to walk all the way to the roundhouse, then you have to go past the security, so there'll be bag checks and searches and various other things, which I'm not personally averse to security checks at venues, and I actually think that that should be more of a common thing, but that's my personal opinion. I know it can be a little bit inconvenient, but I'd rather the shows be safe than not. The only place where that will kind of interact with what we are doing is that it slows down the process of getting into a venue a little bit, okay? So if you got bags on you, if you got whatever, that'll be searched, and that'll just kind of add a little bit to the time. So that 10 minutes might turn into 15 or 20 minutes, meaning that you might potentially miss a song or two of the next band that you want to watch. So that's all it is. That's all you have to factor in. And obviously it doesn't leave much room for downtime in between, okay? So I would recommend, if you do attend, try and eat and fill up earlier in the day as much as possible, and that'll just make your life a little bit easier as you kind of go on. But as a whole, highly enjoyed Incineration Festival. I certainly hope to be back again next year, and yeah, it's just a blast. Honestly, it's a treat. The team have done a fantastic job of building this thing from the ground up, and they have my respect. I know how much work it takes to run a festival, and you got to keep a lot of people happy, and there's a lot that happens with various different bands, and you kind of have to keep everyone happy. You have to keep the fans and the customers happy, and yeah, it's a lot to balance. There's a lot of financial risk at place, and festivals take years to actually get to a stage before they're even turning in profit, okay? And I don't know the numbers. This is just general knowledge and information that I know, and I'm sure many of you already know this, but I think it's important to reiterate that, so when you do attend these festivals, make sure you support them, make sure you buy the tickets in advance, wherever it is that you come to, whether it's Incineration or any other festival, or even if it's just a club show. Honestly, just get your tickets in advance, let the people know that you are going to be attending, and this really makes a difference, okay? And some of these musicians who are on the road, they're not living the easiest of life. Some of the people playing at this festival, they're running through tours, and this can be tiring, and this can be exhausting, okay? So just come on, enjoy yourself, have a good time, and listen to some great music. I really enjoyed yesterday, to be honest with you, and it was just fantastic to be back again. And also I want to say thank you to all of you who took the time to come over and say hi as well. I am always up for a chat, whether you're a listener of the podcast or whether you're a fan of TRIVAX, or whether you want to talk fitness, whatever it is. I'm always up for a chat. It's good fun.
Yeah. Hello Incineration, this is Devastator, and we're off our faces, and we are looking forward to Blood, Fire, fucking Death! Yes!
Maximum Climax.
Maximum Climax and Bathory!
There you go. So thank you for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed the recap for Incineration Festival. Certainly hope to be back again next year, and I'll see you next time. Okay, so there definitely seems to be a trend here.